Good evening, everyone. I have graded your teaching plans from last week and have provided feedback to you. The concept of service learning is something that has become increasingly more popular across undergraduate education, and we're seeing it more in hospital settings as well as part of their community outreach system. The important thing to remember about service learning is that there have to be two components. Like many of you are aware, there has to be an academic component, something that your nursing students or staff nurses are learning new or having reinforced, and how that skill will be applied in a community setting in a service type of manner. So many of you had some great ideas in how to support your community with an academic exercise, from blood pressure screenings to bicycle helmet safety. Lots of great ideas. If this felt like an uncomfortable topic or it wasn't something that you really clearly understood, know that the idea with this assignment is to make sure you understand it before you move on. Because if you're in a leadership in an education position where you're leading others and trying to influence curriculum or support curricular changes, service learning has become a very popular topic. So you need to really understand how to create an academic offering to your learners and then allowing them to take that information into the community setting to serve others. Remember, there's those two pieces. There were lots of great ideas. One of the ideas that I thought was really unique and really touched on one of the challenges with service learning is very often we deal with very busy people. Anytime you go in and tell somebody, their idea is just tell me what I need to know about those people or about that skill or about that population, they don't really want to go in and experience it. And very often it's because they don't value the experience. Your classmate Kara, as part of her lesson plan in teaching her students about their upcoming service project, had them her plan was to have them make a list of benefits to them in providing service, and then the barriers, what was keeping them from being able to do that. And that was a great way to not only use the psychomotor domain, but also really getting the students to understand what's in it for me and what's in it for other people, and how is my thinking or my ideas about it preventing me from finding success in that. So I think Kara did a really unique job of being able to have the students explore that, and that's something that takes 10 minutes, or you can have them do it before they come to class, whatever, but just having people understand this isn't just about serving others altruistically, that we benefit from that service as well. And academically, we know that if we're taking content that we've heard in the classroom and we create an experiential learning experience from that content, that we're more likely to retain it and be able to apply it in a real world setting. So the students benefit from this, not just the community. So having them to explore that is really important. So I thought that was really well done. Touch base if you have questions or concerns. I'm happy to walk you through the feedback or address any concerns that you may have. When you get ready to do your presentation for next week, I want to remind you to go back to week 5. That's your guiding document. You're going to follow the blueprint in week 5 for whatever you're presenting for this presentation in week 8. Know that I'm going to be looking at your teaching plan from week 5 as I'm watching your presentation. So if you were teaching on a topic of hypertension to undergraduate students in a classroom setting, I'm expecting to see you teaching about hypertension in a classroom setting to undergraduate students. Now, I realize that it is summer and that you may have to beg, borrow, and steal to have a handful of people in your classroom. I'm okay with that. What's important is that you are making the effort to do the plan that you put in place, and that the plan you said you were going to do, that you're following. One thing I want to remind you is on the rubric, you are graded on whether you use 3 methods while you're teaching. Now, I know with 10 to 15 minutes of a video, you're not going to likely be able to do every single thing, but you at least need to mention it. It's okay for you to start your presentation and say, before you came to class, I had you do a pre-test to prepare you for this lecture. At the end of your video, for you to be able to say, we're going to go to the simulation lab and we're going to practice doing blood pressures on mannequins. All I need to know is that you plan to connect all of the dots. I don't need to see every single piece of this. To know that you're doing your teaching plan. And that's really the goal here, is to see you in action doing what you said that you were planning to do. If the process of the teaching plan has just felt tedious, know that that is a real world experience. When you are properly planning a lecture, it is a time consuming, labor driven process, and that's if you're doing it well. Anybody can stand up in front of a group of people and wing it and read off of slides or read somebody else's lecture notes. It's not the same as being a facilitator of learning, of being a really good educator. So I do want you to understand that this process does feel tedious, and that the more you do it, the more fluid you get, the teaching plan becomes less necessary in the level of depth and detail it is. You'll know things intuitively. Even as silly as it sounds to have the spatial learner teaching plan for classroom. I cannot tell you how many times I've had a plan for the day and walked in and the classroom seating completely be wrong. Whether I'm in a simulation lab and they have just a row of tables and you can't move around to access the mannequins, or you can't move around to hand equipment off, or whether you're in the classroom and you need people to work in groups and everybody is in nice and tiny straight rows. Or I had been assigned to a classroom. Then I needed to use the overhead projector, and the age of the classroom was so old that they had a support beam in the middle of the room, in the middle of the view of where the projector screen was. It was the craziest thing to try to navigate, having students be able to see the screen when the support beam was in the middle of the room. It just blocked, about a half of the student's view. So the classroom does matter. Those types of things you begin to anticipate and you kind of have in your hip pocket and know, okay, I'm going to need to deal with that. But sometimes you don't. So I do want you to be always thinking about your classroom environment. The other thing that students sometimes struggle with is the differential instruction. We need to always be mindful that not everybody learns the way we teach, and that there's students who have special needs in how they learn. Our English as a second language is becoming a more popular student population, but the big one that really shows up that I've had to deal with recurrently with accommodations that are supported by federal guideline are the students who have ADHD or ADD, where they take more time and they're more easily distracted. So they come in with required accommodations from the Office of Disability that are specific to their ADHD and ADD. So it's important to know who your students are, where the needed accommodations are, and to always be thinking about, this is a great idea, but can everybody keep up? This is a great idea, but do I need to add an additional detail to support students who may learn differently? So be very thoughtful about that going forward. I think I have, checking my notes, I think I have covered everything that I need to remind you. Remember that your practicum logs are due, the presentation is due, all of that is due by 11:59 on Friday. I want to remind you it's your responsibility to make sure that all of your evaluations are done, that your preceptor has completed your evaluation and submitted it before the end of the day on Friday, that you've done your site evaluation and your self-evaluation. I'm also going to encourage you to do the course evaluation. I value your feedback. This is going to be the last time I teach this course, and so it's kind of bittersweet. And even though I won't be teaching the course, it doesn't mean that I don't value your feedback and offer suggestions. I will not be teaching for Liberty anymore. So, this course is one of those closing of a chapters for me, and I'm so grateful that I get to wrap up this walk with you guys, and I have enjoyed having you. This is my last feedback video for you. So week 8, I have found that students just peace out because they're busy and summer's in here, so I don't normally do a week 8 video. You will get an email from me that says, hey, your grades are done. Normally I try to get your academic work graded and give you about 24 hours to process that and double check everything, and then I post your final grades. So my plan is to get that done midweek next week, because things are a little bit busy here with switching gears in my career. So know that I have enjoyed you, that as we wrap up this very, very busy week, that I'm thinking about you and I am praying for you. Use the Ask the Professor link for the logistics questions. Touch base personally with me by email and let me know if you have any specific questions that I can walk through with you. I will look forward to seeing your week 8 work and wish you all well. Take care. God bless.